Today what I'm going to show you is the 3-stitch rib cable that is being used on the Gatsby's girl pattern. And if you look here, the hat itself is knit from the bottom up and then seamed, and then there's little eyelets incorporated into the pattern, and then it's cinched up with this knitted I-cord. But if you can see here, these are the cables that are created using the 3-stitch rib cable. So that is the cable that I'm going to demonstrate for you today. So if you take a look here on this little swatch, this is the 3-stitch cable. We call it a rib cable just because it's a simple knit, purl, knit stitch. And it's set in between a series of purl stitches. So it will kind of act as a rib stitch. But if you take a look here, it's actually, grab a needle here. This is the first knit stitch. The purl stitch is in between here, kind of in the ditch, and then the next knit stitch is crossing over the first knit stitch. So there's always going to be a little purl stitch in the center of our cables. So I will show you how to do this. And in the pattern I explain how to do it using a cable needle, but there is a far better way, an easier way to do it without any cable needles. Just a way of rearranging the stitches, all 3 of them, on your left-hand needle and then reknitting them. So I'll show you both of those methods. So here we are to our 3 stitches of our cable. And the way you need to perform this cable with your cable needle is by taking your working yarn and your working right-hand needle, placing those to the front, and you're going to take your cable needle and pop off the first 2 stitches and hold those to the back. And then we're going to pick up our working yarn and simply knit the 3rd stitch of our cable. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and drop our yarn again, and then we'll go back to our cable and place the next stitch, which is a purl stitch, back onto our left-hand needle. Then, before we continue to knit, this is the tricky part here. We want to bring our cable needle to the front of our work, and it's going to cross over in front of this stitch that we just created, this knit stitch. Okay, so that's just going to hang there in the front of our work, and the stitch that we already placed on our left-hand needle was a purl. We're going to purl that stitch for the center of our cable. Now we're going to grab our stitch on our cable needle that was the knit stitch, place it back on the left-hand needle. We're done with our cable needle now, and then we will knit that stitch. Okay, so that is the 3-stitch rib cable, knit, purl, knit. And then what you'll do in pattern is you'll just continue to knit, knit, purl, knit for several rows, and then you'll do another twist, just as we did here. But there is a far simpler way to do this rib stitch. I'm going to purl over to the next 3 stitches of our cable, and I'll show you how to do this without using that cable needle. It's much easier. Okay, so what we want to do is insert our needle, our right-hand needle, into the left, actually the 3rd stitch, which is our last knit stitch of the cable. Grab these 2 stitches, the first 2, kind of hold on to them, pull out your left-hand needle, pick up those 2 that you just popped off, so we're just rearranging them here, swing around and place the 3rd knit stitch on the end of your left-hand needle. So what we've done is we've just repositioned our stitches. Now that first one can be knit, but if you recall with our cable needle earlier, we rearranged this knit and this purl stitch. The purl stitch came back around the knit stitch. So in order to do that, insert your right-hand needle, kind of grab hold of this first knit stitch so it doesn't go anywhere. Pick it up with your left-hand needle, twist around, and pop that purl stitch onto your left-hand needle. Now we can finish our cable. We'll do a purl and a knit, and that stitch is complete. So I'm going to show that to you one more time here on my little swatch. Purl over to the next 3 stitches. Okay, we inserted our needle into the 3rd stitch, purl-wise. When you're rearranging stitches, always remember to swap them from one needle to the next purl-wise. Never go in knit-wise. So grab those last 2 stitches, pull them off, pick them back up, swing back around, and then knit that stitch. And then we'll grab the back one, pick up the first one. Might be a little tricky when you first start going here. Purl that stitch and knit the last stitch. Okay, and then I'll just finish the swatch here and show you what this looks like. Okay, so these are our little cable twists in our 3-stitch rib cable. As you can see, we did the exact same thing on these last 2 cables as we did on the first one, and they look identical. So that's just an easier way of performing this particular cable without the use of a cable needle. I hope this helps you.